Christabel stood in the small ward, watching the woman who had just delivered a baby boy. The cries of the newborn filled the air. She carefully wrapped him in a clean cloth and gently handed him over to the buyer, who had just arrived in a shiny black SUV. The man smiled warmly as he carried the baby. "You people are doing well," he said softly, handing her a brown envelope stuffed with cash. She collected it with both hands with a heavy heart. She knew this baby would never see his real mother again, but she had to play along. Carrying the envelope, she walked straight to Dr. Anslem's office. He was seated behind his large wooden desk, writing something on a file. "Doctor, here is the money for the baby boy," she said, placing the envelope on the desk. He looked up and nodded slowly. "Christabel, I want you to take this money and deposit it at the bank. The account details are written here," he said, handing her a slip of paper. For a moment, she froze. He had never asked her to handle money before. "You trust me with this?" she asked quietly. Dr. Anslem leaned back in his chair and smiled. "I trust you completely now, Christabel. You have proven yourself," he said. "My driver will take you to the bank in my car. Go and deposit everything." She nodded and left his office, holding the envelope tightly. The driver, a tall man named Johnson, was already waiting by the black Toyota. As they drove through town, she looked at the passing streets and thought about how far she had come in winning the doctor's confidence. It was working exactly as she had planned. At the bank, she walked to the counter and told the cashier she wanted to make a deposit. The cashier counted the money carefully, 15 million naira in neat bundles. Christabel stood there silently until the transaction was done. When they left the bank, Johnson drove her back to the hospital. She went straight to Dr. Anslem's office to give him the deposit slip. He looked pleased. "Well done," he said softly. "You are no longer just a nurse here. You are my partner." Her heart skipped, but she only smiled politely and left. A week later, she was sitting in the nurse lounge when Dr. Anslem walked in holding a small envelope. "Come outside," he told her. She followed him to the hospital parking lot, wondering what was happening. Then she saw it, a brand new red car parked under a tree. He handed her the keys. "This is for you," he said. She stared at the car in shock. "Doctor, this is too much," she whispered. "Nothing is too much for you," he replied gently. "You have been loyal to me. This is just the beginning." She took the keys slowly, her fingers trembling slightly. "Thank you, doctor. You're such a wonderful lover," she said softly. She could see the happiness in his eyes. "I want you to come to my house today," he said. "We will celebrate this new car properly." She hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. She had to keep him believing she was this woman. Later that evening, she drove her new car to his house. He welcomed her with a warm hug at the door. Inside, the house was beautiful and smelled of fresh flowers. "Sit down," he told her, leading her to a soft leather couch. A tray of wine and glasses were already on the table. They drank in silence for a while, the soft music in the background filling the room. He looked at her for a long moment, his eyes full of desire. "You make me happy, Christabel," he said. She only looked away, pretending to be shy. I want to make you happy too, doctor, she said quietly. He leaned closer, his hand brushing hers. Then stay with me tonight, he whispered. She nodded slowly. He took her hand and led her to the bedroom. The room was dimly lit, the curtains drawn. As they lay together, she let him take the lead. She did not feel the love she was pretending to feel, but she knew this was part of the game. If she kept him satisfied in the bedroom, he would never suspect her true intentions. When it was over, she lay still beside him, listening to his breathing. He turned and kissed her forehead. You belong to me now, he said softly. She smiled and nodded. Yes, doctor, she replied. But deep inside, her mind was already planning the next move. She could not afford to be distracted by gifts or soft words. She still had her mission, and she could not forget it. As he held her close, she thought of Nneka, hidden in her apartment, waiting for the right time. The night passed slowly in his house. She got up before dawn, telling him she needed to be at the hospital early. He kissed her goodbye at the door, reminding her to drive carefully. As she got into her new car and started the engine, she looked at the house one more time. She knew she had to keep playing this role perfectly until the day she would finally bring him down. For now, she was his lover, but in her heart, she was still his enemy. Thank you for watching this wonderful, awesome story, The New Nurse. It's season 7 that just ended. Watch out for the season 8. The story keeps unfolding. Keep being glued to the screen. You will never regret it. Thank you. Bye-bye.